Hello, my name's Aisha Khader. I'm a social media editor for JACC Cardiovascular Interventions, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Dr. Enrico Cerrato, who is an interventional cardiologist at the San Luigi Gonzaga University Hospital and the Rivoli Hospitals in Turin, Italy. And today we will be discussing his paper titled Intravascular Lithotripsy or Mechanical Debulking in Complex Calcified Coronary Arteries, the Multi-Center Prospective Rolling Stone Study. Welcome, Dr. Torato.
Welcome, thank you.
Perfect. So, this is a very interesting study and a very large population of calcified lesion patients. Indeed, calcified lesions and calcium modification techniques are not the easiest to randomize. So, this study was a multi-center registry. For the purpose of the study, how did you define calcified coronary lesions? Which lesion subsets were included?
Basically, the study starts as a multi-center experience involving 23 centers and was designed to be real-world study. I mean that we define the lesion as moderate to severe calcification, defined as angiography or intravascular imaging, but basically the operator, when decide that he need some debulking device to proceed in the PCI, he will start using a debulking device. So beyond the definition of the trial that we use in our inclusion criteria, I think the most important thing, and as you need some debulking device into proceeding your PCI.
Understood. That's a great clarification. Could you now just outline for us the study design, methodology, and the endpoints that you defined?
Yes, sure. We decided to include all type of debulking devices and not to proceed with a single arm trial. So the operator was left to use atherectomy, including rotational or orbital atherectomy, or to use IVL in such procedure. And in some cases could also combine more than one debulking techniques. So it was designed to be very open in terms of describing our daily activity. The workflow of the study is to follow up the patient up to 1 year for the primary endpoint. We would like to examine the procedural success that was defined as a residual stenosis less than 30% and absence of intravascular events during the hospitalization. And then we also would like to explore the 30 days major cardiovascular events and up to 1 year of major cardiovascular events. Being the study open to different techniques in the design of the study, we include also the multi methods to perform a propensity matching. And so we try to go on a propensity matching using different techniques, the propensity score matching and inverse propensity weighting, in order to obtain comparable groups of patients treated or with atherectomy or with IVL, and to explore the same endpoints that I mentioned in these two cohorts of patients.
Thank you. That's great. And you enrolled in total 1,005 patients. Could you tell us more details on the results? Firstly, the demographics, since this is a registry, so that we have an idea of what sort of patients went into the study. And also, then, if you could clarify on the endpoints.
Yes, we end up with more than 1,000 of patients. It was a very, very exciting result because we enroll all these patients in 2 years in 23 centers in North Italy. It was unselected centers. I think it's important for me to thank you all the investigators for this effort, and I would also to stress the fact that we have only 5 centers with on-site surgery. And so this is important in terms also of the safety in general of debulking and the need of debulking techniques in our hospitals in everyday practice. The demographics reflects a real world unselected population, because we have 60% of ACS patients that was clearly underrepresented in general in clinical trial. We have 10% of left mains that was treated with IVL. We have more than half of patients with multivessel disease. We have 25% of patients with chronic total occlusion treated with atherectomy, and also a group of patients with reduced ejection fraction. So we will cover all this feature, including more than 20% of females in this trial. And going a brief into results, I would also like to stress the fact that more than 80% of cases were treated with a radial approach, and this approach was higher in the IVL group. So maybe with the IVL, we do not need to have a strong support in terms of guiding catheter. And regarding the safety endpoint of the procedural success, it was obtained in similar rate in the 2 groups. More than 80% of cases have this result of a good procedural success. And population are quite different in the 2 groups, as we can imagine in an unselected trial, not randomized. There are some difference. For example, patients in atherectomy group have a longer lesion treated, maybe due to the techniques of using atherectomy in longer segment, and so ends up with a higher number of stents. And in the primary result of 30 days outcome, we observe a benefit, a superior outcome in IVL group compared to atherectomy. But performing a propensity model, we try to have a part of this population with a similar baseline and procedural characteristics. Going with propensity matching and inverse propensity weighting, we end up with 322 patients. So as usual, during a propensity matching, we lose some pairs of patients. And performing this propensity matching at 30 days, we do not observe difference in terms of MACE, but surprisingly, we observe that at 1 year after propensity matching, there is a better result using IVL.
That's a very interesting result. Thank you for the detailed explanation. Do you have any explanations as to why there might have been a difference downstream between IVL and atherectomy, judging from this being a registry-based analysis?
Yeah, we try to generate some hypothesis, but it's not easy, it's not clear. Maybe it could be something related to a better expansion of the stent that in longer term could have an impact in terms of outcome. I mean, with the cracking provided by IVL, it could be that in some region we have delivered a better stent result, but it's not easy to understand clearly while we get this benefit in longer terms. And we do not have, for example, data about combining more than one procedures. It could be a sort of limitation because we have in our population 8% of cases of synergic use of atherectomy and IVL in the same procedure, and we decide to exclude this kind of procedure in order to better isolate the effect of IVL or atherectomy. But at the end of the day, I think that the good finding of our registry is the safety and the procedural effect of both technique.
No, absolutely. It's, I think, a very contemporary registry because it was done in over a span less than 5 years ago, reflecting current practice, and intracoronary imaging use was about a third, which again, I suppose reflects contemporary practice in the institutes where it was undertaken. So thank you very much for detailing those results as well as the explanations. In conclusion, I suppose, what, in your view, does this data provide the practicing interventionist selecting calcium debulking tools? What would be your takeaway based on this registry?
Yes, I think that some good takeaway could be, as I mentioned, to the fact that this is normal centers in Italy. The range of PCI in the centers that participate in Rolling Stone range from 500 to up of 1,900 procedure, but basically are a cat lab with a regular workflow. And as I mentioned, the number of sites with a surgeon is available in the facility is very few, is 5 center up to 23. So we can reassure that we can do the debulking procedure safely. We register as clearly have in any trial a number of complications related to one technique or another technique like perforation, fixation, slow flow. But in generally speaking, the way in which interventional cardiology works to treat the calcium with current gears and with current techniques are safe and effective. And our registry maybe expand a little bit the knowledge about some settings that is underreported, like again ACS. Now we are submitting a dedicated analysis regarding ACS, comparing atherectomy IVL, or also the female gender. That is another object of a dedicated sub-analysis, or left main ostial lesions. And we would like also to elaborate also a bit about the imaging use that, as you mentioned, was in 1/3 of cases, but probably even if we try to use more and more imaging in our procedure, depend on the clinical setting, in the clinical presentation, and depends on the current use in regular cat lab also without academical resources or similar. So it's I think a trial that could help in better reassuring interventional cardiology about the instruments that we have to work every day in the calcific lesions.
Thank you very much. This is a very nice set of contemporary data, like you said, assuring regarding the safety and feasibility of these strategies across multiple centers. So thank you very much for your time and for discussing your manuscript.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, the ACC cardiovascular intervention.